The way I was running my business up until 2 years ago sent me to the hospital. And I'll tell you how that happened in just a minute. That led me to make some major changes in my operation. But did those changes actually tank my $150,000 a year side hustle? I was consistently in the #1 spot on Soundbetter for 4 years, but recently I was barely even visible on the singers page. I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to think. What did I do to mess this up? And how could I fix it? Demo singing on Soundbetter is one of my highest paying revenue streams. I consistently make between $8,000 and $20,000 a month, but recently there have been longer stretches of crickets. Some of my return clients have not returned in a while. And please, if you are watching this and you're one of my clients, please save me a little bit of embarrassment and don't watch this video. Anyway, one of my first thoughts was this. There's a really fine line between knowing your worth, knowing your value, and having strong boundaries, and just being difficult to work with. So I've started second guessing myself. Have my policies gotten too strict? I used to be so much busier, and because I got so busy, I couldn't even manage the workload, so I raised my prices. I got strict against not sending test demos if someone is curious to hire me but wants to hear a sample of me singing their song first. Which, by the way, that is not something we singers can just shit in 2 minutes. We spend at least 20 to 30 minutes on a 10-second sample. So no, it's not sustainable for us to say yes to everyone who wants a free sample. That is a recipe for burnout. I can only comfortably record 2 songs a day now. I used to be a machine, but not anymore. It's taxing on my body, so I have to limit myself. 2 years ago, demo singing sent me to the hospital. I ended up going to urgent care mid-recording session because my chest was so tight due to the stress, anxiety, and pressure I was putting on myself to get through my queue of 25 paid songs. I was so busy at the time that with each song I was completing, I was hired for 2 more. I was trying to cut 4 songs a day with no break in sight. So I was recording one night, and that chest tightness that my doctor told me was just anxiety migrated to my back. And I read somewhere that heart attack can sometimes be felt in the upper back. I stopped recording, got my self-talk going. I would do this self-mothering technique to stay calm, say, okay, baby girl, let's just be safe and go get some peace of mind. Clearly, you're just stressed. It's probably nothing. It's just musculoskeletal soreness, because apparently with anxiety, you tense up and you can even tense these little muscles between your ribs. That's not life-threatening, but it's pretty scary. So I go to urgent care and the lady at the front says, hello, just so you know, we're looking at like an 1.5 hour wait. What are you here for? I told her my symptoms, and apparently they take that seriously, so I was called in less than 5 minutes. My blood pressure was scary high. The nurse looked at me and asked, how are you standing up? Are you dizzy? And I'm like, shit, that's really bad, huh? And then the doctor comes in and says, because of my high blood pressure and my family history, my dad died from a heart attack when I was 10, we're going to transfer you to the ER. We have a wheelchair ready. She sticks me with an IV, and I'm on my way. They gave me a chest x-ray looking for pulmonary embolism. They did blood test, EKG, the whole 9. I was there for hours, all to ultimately clear me and say, we believe you've had a pretty gnarly panic attack and you need to manage your stress. I followed up with a treadmill test just to check, and by then I think I'd had enough tests to tell me I am healthy, I am okay, but this is not sustainable. So I've had to scale back. I've had to raise my prices, and telling that to my recurring clients did not go over well, and some of them stopped returning. I started to charge more if a song had a freaking key change or 4 verses, an additional down chorus, an additional vamp section. I don't know why some people think writing a 4.5 to 5 minute song is cool. It's not cool. Our attention spans aren't that long. Anyway, so there are several things I looked at that might have caused my business to decline. And I'm about to give you the 8 things I did try to turn this thing around and what the result was. So this is hard. For my health, I want to stay strict with my policies. I want to keep my prices high and take less jobs, only quality jobs. But has the pendulum swung too far the other way? I don't think so. And here's why. If I had continued at the rate I was going before, always trying for 4 songs a day, always under stress, always feeling trapped and stuck in a loop, eventually I'd be forced to stop everything completely. In those times where I did feel that way, I did think about how to get out. I could always send a message to every active client and tell them I'm sending them a refund and I can't finish the project, blame it on health reasons. I could always run away and hide until I'm back to full health. And though that might have brought me back to full health, it would have tanked my business a lot sooner. Terminating jobs early does reflect negatively on your Soundbetter account. Or I could have ended up with a lot of 1-star reviews, which is even worse. So I am glad that I scaled back, that I raised my prices slowly and tightened up my policies. I basically intentionally slowed my own business down for the sake of my health. And yeah, maybe my high stress at the time of adjusting my policies did make me a little rigid and did deter otherwise good clients, but the pendulum swung and it lingered on the opposite side of that busy streak for a little longer than I was comfortable. So I want to share with you the steps I have taken to even out that swing and what the result has been. First, to recap my thinking while back at the drawing board when I asked, what the hell just happened? What could I have done to cause this radio silence? First thought, I priced myself out. Okay, maybe for now, I return to my old pricing structure. I have a down sell that I do. I'll just do the lead vocal only, no harmonies for $100 cheaper. And that should get some gigs piling up. The good thing about pricing is you can keep it private. In order to see my prices, I need to have an actual conversation with a client first. So if I lower my prices during a lull, other clients who aren't contacting me in the meantime don't need to know about it. Or I can always raise my prices again if I get slammed. I also started saying yes to sending some test demos on request. The result from that was interesting. I think I learned something. First of all, if you work with someone for the first time, what happens in your first session is what they're going to expect from you moving forward. So it was my mistake to just give a test demo without prefacing, and here's the lesson. If I ever choose to do this in the future, I will preface it by saying, hey, because it's our first time working together, I'll go ahead and do this for you, but normally I am unable to provide test recordings. My schedule allows for it this time, so I'll send you something shortly. I wish I did this because it would also make it sound like I'm hooking them up with something special that I normally don't do. Instead, I was asked to record several tests, and it was becoming unsustainable. When I told the client I couldn't do that anymore, I'm pretty sure I lost them as a client. And then a different client became a different story. When I sent a test, it sort of set the precedent that I was just kind of saying yes to whatever they wanted, and the remainder of the project was a ton of work for me. The result of this experiment to try to turn my business around is I'm still pretty against sending test demos altogether. Things that begin with headaches tend to end in more headaches. Next, I've temporarily paused charging extra for songs with more sections than a standard pop song just to get more gigs. The result so far hasn't been the worst. Some songs you get are short and easy, some take longer. It all comes out in the wash. I think I'm going to continue deciding on whether or not to charge more for longer songs on a case-by-case basis. Because a lot of the time, people just don't have the budget for more and will not hire you because of this. I have not had to change much on my revision policy because I have ways of preventing the need for revisions altogether. Ask questions about what the client wants in your performance ahead of time. Then always reiterate back to the client using different words what you think that they wanted from you, because sometimes we just don't speak the same creative language. And some ways of saying things mean one thing to you and one thing to them. So reiterating things in your own words clears this up. Asking for a famous song reference helps the most, but make sure you're clear on what it is they like about the famous song reference. I just had to do a big rewrite because I sang the song really powerfully, like the reference. But apparently he wanted a light and airy vocal. The reference was only for the melodic style. I did make one concession though recently, and it was worth it. I had to do an entire song rewrite because we misunderstood each other big time. His response to what I did revealed to me how I completely misunderstood the assignment. So I went ahead and rewrote it. But in doing that, We really discussed what the song needed and developed kind of a language between us so we can understand each other better. After that, he hired me again, and using our new way of communicating, we understood each other perfectly and no revisions were needed this time. I think we even became friends. I've been more thoughtful with how I write my proposals, making sure to not just compliment the person's song, but say something about the creative direction that shows them I really understand them and I understand what their song needs. It's not easy to build trust with a stranger in the first 2 sentences of an email with not much of a face attached to it. So showing them you love their work, you clearly know the genre, telling them what inspires you about the song, this goes a long way. I'm sure to be easygoing, friendly. I use smiley faces a lot, and overall, I make the process feel like it will be super chill and fun. I'm upfront about my turnaround times, which usually excites them to know that they'll have their song back within the week. I ask thoughtful questions about their creative direction, and usually I'll present these questions as an either-or question, so they don't have to think too hard about their answer. They can just pick one direction or the other, or they'll correct me if I'm totally off. It empowers them to be part of the process with me, whereas I think sometimes in the past, I'd kind of just take the files and tell them I got this and I'll be back in 2 days. I've also made sure to keep updating them once I am hired. My business thrives the most on returning clientele. So keeping them informed of my progress and letting them know, hey, I just wrote the lyrics and I plan to record tomorrow. That gets them feeling good. Another thing I've done, I reinstated notifications from the job board. On Soundbetter, you can elect to receive an email anytime someone posts something in your category. So I have notifications for demo singing and songwriting jobs. Soundbetter has a system where a job posting can only receive 5 proposals. So it's important to respond fast when a job is posted, or you may not even be able to send them a proposal. Speed is another important thing I've revved up with my job invitations. When someone contacts me, I don't hesitate to respond, as this not only shows the client I'm responsive and reliable, it shows Soundbetter's algorithm that I am fast and reliable, and that contributes to pushing my visibility back up, even if I don't get the job. In addition to checking my email for notifications, every morning when I'm having my coffee, I open the general job board with all the jobs. People may sometimes categorize their job posting wrong, or I might see an unrelated job that I could still do, like melodining or something. So just browsing the latest posts every morning has led me to jobs I could apply for that I didn't receive a notification for. I did something else that started helping accidentally. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I don't just talk about demo singing and custom songwriting. I talk about several other revenue streams for singers, and there's a list of 35 you can grab for free. It's linked in the description below. So while Soundbetter was slow, I was focusing on other projects, and one of them is my social media. So I decided to start reaching out to some past clients and ask if they wouldn't mind if I put a little video of me lip syncing to their song on my social media. This accidentally re-engaged some clients who I hadn't talked to in a while, and 2 of them actually hired me to record a new song. I don't know why they just needed that poke. Some people just procrastinate finishing songs, so reaching out might be worth it, even if it seems unrelated to asking them to hire you. I also had wondered if I'd accidentally pissed off some customers, so re-engaging with them with the idea of making a fun video might have made them get over it and remember that they actually like working with me. One more thing I want to mention that has come through for me. Producers and mixing engineers who I have referred clients to have started referring clients back to me. I just got a couple gigs referred to me by a mixing engineer I recently recommended. So always try to hook up other high-performing musicians and engineers on Soundbetter because we always get asked by clients to refer them to other talent. Okay, here's an update. Here's the result. About 2 weeks later, after really trying to build this thing back up, this morning, I woke up to finding myself back in the #1 spot. It felt like I had to fight for it, and I'm gonna make sure to not get lazy. I have to admit, every single time it gets slow, every time I drop way down on the singers page, I can't help but feel fearful. This is my most reliable revenue stream. It's the stream that made me comfortable leaving my regular job and going full-time with music. So I get nervous when it slows way down. But without fail, so far, knock on wood, after closer to 5 years now, every time it slows down, it always picks back up. So I really need to do a lot of self-pep talk to remind myself this will be okay. keep doing what I'm doing. I have 23 other revenue streams, so maybe this lull was an opportunity to also nurture some of my other projects. But one thing's for sure, this experience definitely led me to put my operation under a microscope and regroup and make sure that I don't lose my work ethic by spreading myself too thin. I demand 110% of myself in everything I do, but there is a danger in taking on too many projects. That could make me slip to like 80% per project, and that's bad. I believe that not giving all of yourself to each individual song is a disservice to art and creativity. I have too much respect for music and how it impacts our lives to give any less. So I checked in with that, and I caught myself starting to slip and brought it right back up. I refocused my productivity by using a system I created for myself I like to call process cycling, which I talk about in my anti-day in the life of a high-performance singer. You can check out that video. I'll drop the link to that in the description below if you want to try my method. But those are the more actionable changes I've made to bring my account back to good standing. I like to think mindset and prayer have something to do with it too. I feel that when I go into panic mode and worry about not having jobs, I manifest more lack of jobs. But it takes me about a day to shift from worry to action, and that change shifts me back into abundance mode. Business has picked up, but maybe everything I did made no difference at all. Maybe it's just random dry spells. Maybe Soundbetter slowed down their marketing for a bit. Maybe my returning clients had enough music making for a little bit, and soon they'll come back inspired and ready to work again. I do feel good for the reality check. I am glad I did regroup and self-evaluate. I'd like to give better customer service, and overall, I think this dip helped remind me to care more about the music again and not be so transactional with my gigs. I've made sure to not only leave thoughtful 5-star reviews for my recent jobs, but close out our project with telling my clients how it felt to work on their song, how it inspired me, and what I admire about them. I feel a lot more grounded and connected. I might be a chronic optimist. I'm always looking for the positive lesson in the darkness, but I like it and it makes me happy. If you've listened this far, thank you. I'll be sharing a lot more of the behind the scenes, so make sure you click the subscribe button while you're here. If you're struggling with getting your demo singing business rocking, tell me what's going on in the comments, and if I can help make a video about it, I will. Then make sure to watch this video next if you're ready to learn all the ins and outs of making money as a singer from home.